What if the dustiest box in your basement, the one you have stepped around for years without ever opening it, is worth more than everything parked in your garage combined? 10 of the things sitting in ordinary American basements have sold for hundreds, some for thousands. And one of them happens to be the single most common object down there. Right now, under your stairs, on a shelf you stopped seeing a decade ago, there may be a piece that a collector would drive through the night to buy. Most people never find out. They call it junk, they haul it to the curb, and they never once turn it over to read what it actually says. Tonight, we are going to walk down those stairs together. 10 items, real prices, and a test you can run on each one before you go to bed. Let us find out if number one is already yours. Here is the truth most people never hear, and it is going to change how you look at every shelf down there. The word old is not a value word. It is just a description. A thing can be 100 years old and worth $2, and the thing sitting right next to it can look like garbage and be worth $2,000. Nobody ever taught you to tell them apart, because the people who can tell them apart mostly make their living not telling you. Value does not live in how old or how dusty something is. It lives in four things: who made it, which exact version it is, what condition it survived in, and whether it is still complete with its box or its matching parts. Get those four right, and an object you are about to set on the curb can quietly outprice the nicest furniture in your house. Now let me be honest with you, the way a real dealer would, because I have watched families guess wrong in both directions for years. What is in your basement is almost certainly not the 1 in 100 grail. A single comic book found in a California attic under a stack of old newspapers sold last year for over $9 million, and the record above it now reads $15 million. Yours is not that. I am not going to pretend it is. But here is what I know. The gap between a $5 item and a $2,000 item hides in plain sight. On the bottom, in the markings, in the details, you have walked past 1,000 times, and you can learn to see it tonight. So let us start at the bottom of the list and work our way up. Number 10. Number 10 is sitting on a shelf in more basements than almost anything else on this list, and most people look right past it because it is black, heavy, and a little rusty. An old cast iron skillet, the kind that gets used for a decade, then retired to the basement when the non-stick pans move in. Your first thought is that it is worn-out cookware, maybe worth a few dollars to somebody fixing up a cabin. That instinct is fair. It is also exactly how the money slips away. Here is what the pan is not telling you. The maker is stamped on the bottom, and a few American makers turned these into collector gold. Griswold is the name to know. Their better skillets have sold for thousands, and the rarest one, an early piece with a small spider stamped in a web on the base, sold at auction in 2024 for $10,000. Your test tonight. Flip the pan over and read the bottom. Look for a maker's name like Griswold or Wagner, and look for that raised spider. Then set it on a flat counter and check that it sits without rocking. Maker plus a clean early mark plus a flat, uncracked body is the combination that pays. And the loss I see most often: someone takes a grinder to grandma's skillet to clean off the rust, strips the mark and the value with it, and sells a $10,000 pan for scrap. Number 9. Number 9 is out in the open too, usually in a dusty box in the corner. An old tackle box, the kind a grandfather packed away, full of wooden fishing lures with chipped paint and little glass eyes. Nobody looks twice. It is bait, except some of these early wooden lures are among the most collected fishing objects in America. An extremely rare head-and lure in an unusual paint pattern, sold at auction in 2018 for $25,000, and even ordinary early examples with glass eyes routinely bring hundreds. Your test tonight. Pick up each lure and look for two things: a body carved from wood, not molded plastic, and small eyes made of glass rather than painted dots. If you find glass eyes, a wood body, and the original cardboard box, stop and set that one aside carefully. And here is the part that hurts. The whole tackle box gets sold at a yard sale for $5 because the family only saw a jumble of old hooks, and a collector drives home with a month's rent in his trunk. Number 8. Number 8 is usually leaning against a basement wall under a tarp, tires flat, chrome dulled, and everyone in the family calls it the old kid's bike. A muscle bike with a long banana seat, high handlebars, and a stick shift mounted right on the frame. Your instinct says it is a worn-out toy from someone's childhood, worth maybe $50 to a picker. Here is what the tarp is hiding. For a few short years, Schwinn built a line of these that looked like tiny chopper motorcycles, and collectors chased them hard. The best-known models were made starting in 1968, and originals in good shape have sold at major auctions for right around $3,000. Your test tonight. Find the head badge at the front and read the name. Then look at the frame near the pedals for a serial number and study the paint closely. Original factory paint, faded evenly, is what collectors want. Here's where the money dies. Somebody repaints the frame a bright new color to give it to a grandchild, and the moment that original paint is gone, so is most of the value. The bright new coat quietly erased the prize. Number 7. Number 7 is the one where I have to slow you down and be honest, because this is the most common mistake I see in basements, and I respect you too much to let you believe the legend. An old sewing machine, heavy cast iron, gold decals, maybe sitting in its own wooden cabinet. The family story is always the same. It is an antique. It must be worth a fortune. Here is the honest truth. Singer built more than 100 million sewing machines over about a century. 100 million. Most of the black cast iron beauties you find in basements are worth somewhere between $50 and $150, no matter how old they look or how lovely the gold work is. Age is not a value word here. It is a recipe made 100 million times. But there is a real exception, and this is the test that matters. One particular model, a small, lightweight machine collectors call the featherweight, along with a few rare finishes, genuinely sells for hundreds and sometimes into the thousands. So do not guess. Find the serial number on the machine and run it through a free Singer dating database online. It will tell you the exact year and model in about a minute. The mistake I watch happen. The heavy common machine gets listed as a priceless antique and never sells, while somewhere else a plain-looking featherweight goes for the price of a used car, because someone finally read the model number. Number 6. Number 6 is the heaviest thing on this list, in every sense, and it is usually shoved under a workbench or on a bottom shelf with a blanket over it. A big stereo receiver from the 1970s, a wide silver face covered in knobs and switches, a row of dials that used to glow. Somebody kept it because it still might work someday. Your instinct says it is obsolete electronics, the kind of thing you feel guilty throwing out but nobody wants. Here is what that weight is telling you. The best receivers of that era, the silver-faced monsters from names like Marantz and Pioneer, have become serious collector items. Clean mid-tier units sell for $500 to $1,000. And the flagship models in service condition regularly bring $2,500 to $4,000. Your test tonight. Read the brand and the model number off the front panel and write it down. Then lift it. Real weight, 10 or 15 pounds of it, is the first sign you have something. But here is the one thing I need you to promise me. Do not plug it in to see if it works. The capacitors inside are 50 years old, and powering it up cold can destroy exactly the thing a collector would pay to restore. The model number is your test, not the power switch. And the loss I see? Someone drags it to the curb on electronics recycling day because it is heavy and old, and a $2,000 machine rides off in the back of a truck. Now, before we get to the top 5, there is something about all of this you have probably started to notice. The things that turn out to be worth real money almost never look like money. They end up in the basement precisely because someone decided they were dated, ugly, or obsolete, and stopped looking at them. Appearance keeps lying to people. What actually decides value is a small set of signals you can learn: the maker's name, the exact model or variant, the condition, and whether it is complete. Those things are learnable, and that is exactly why I put together a guide that walks through the marks, the makers, and the small details that separate a $5 item from a $5,000 one, so you can read a piece before someone across the table reads it for you. It is linked below if you want it. Now let us get back to the countdown. Number 5. Number 5 is the plainest object in the whole basement. That ugly gray-brown pot by the stairs, the one holding umbrellas, or holding nothing at all. A stoneware crock. Heavy, dull, chipped around the rim, the definition of something you would not glance at twice. Except that is exactly where the disguise works. Look at the surface. If there is a design painted in cobalt blue, a bird, a flower, a swooping vine, or a leaf, and a maker's name stamped somewhere near the top, along with a number for how many gallons it holds, you are no longer looking at a flower pot. Plain mid-century crocks bring $500 to $1,000. A crock with rich, detailed cobalt decoration can climb into the $10,000 to $25,000 range depending on the maker, and the rarest early American pieces have sold for six figures. Your test tonight. Look hard for blue decoration, a stamped maker's name, and a gallon number. Then check the body for cracks, because condition matters enormously here. And the loss I watch happen again and again. The decorated crock gets demoted to a porch planter, left out through a hard winter, and the freeze splits it right down the side, taking thousands with it. Number 4. Number 4 is a warning as much as a treasure, because this is the one the fakers love most. Old porcelain advertising signs. The enamel gas and oil signs, the soda signs, the ones with deep colors and hard shine that look incredible on a garage wall. A genuine early one can bring hundreds, and the rare gas and oil signs sell into the 4, 5, and even 6 figures. That is exactly why the market is flooded with reproductions, and this is where I need you to slow down and read the sign like a contract. Here is what the fakers get wrong. A real porcelain sign is made of powdered glass fused onto steel, so the colors are layered, and where it chips, you see those layers step down to bare metal. A fake is usually just printed on flat sheet metal, so the surface feels dead flat, and the edges are sharp and raw. Look at the mounting holes. Real signs wear a halo of rust that streaks downward from each hole, because gravity pulled the weather down for decades. Fakers spray rust on evenly, all over, which never happens in nature. And watch for fantasy designs, brands, or slogans that never actually existed. Your test tonight. Run your fingers over the surface and feel for glass, not paint. Check the edges for layers. Read the rust around the holes. Hold on to this, because it is the thread running straight toward number 1. The fakes and the fortunes are both decided in the same place. In the small details, almost nobody bothers to read. Number 3. Number 3 is a whole crate of them, sitting in a corner nobody has flipped through in 20 years. Records. Old vinyl, the album covers soft at the corners, the kind of thing you assume is worth $1 a piece at a garage sale. And most of it is, but hidden in that crate could be a first pressing, and the difference between a first pressing and a later reissue of the very same album can be staggering. A first pressing of the Led Zeppelin debut sells for $800 to $1,500, while a reissue of the identical album brings $25 to $50. Same song, same cover, wildly different money. So how do you tell them apart? The answer is a clock hidden in the record itself. Your test tonight. Slide the record out and look at the smooth, blank ring between the last groove and the center label. That is called the dead wax, and etched into it you will find a string of letters and numbers, the matrix code. Tilt it under a lamp to read it, then look it up in a free online database that will tell you exactly which pressing you are holding. And the loss I see, the whole crate gets sold for 50 cents a record because nobody slid a single one out to read the letters hiding in the dead wax. Number 2. Number 2 is the one that quietly costs people the most, because the value is not in the object alone. It is in whether the object still has its box. Think of the old toys, the game consoles, the action figures down there. Here is the rule collectors live by. The item by itself is an orphan. The item with its original box, the inserts, and the paperwork is worth a multiple of that, and if it is still sealed, unopened in the original shrink wrap, the number goes somewhere most people would not believe. A loose vintage game cartridge might bring $5. That very same title, sealed in its original packaging, has sold for thousands, and the rarest sealed classics reach into 6 figures. Your test tonight. For anything collectible down there, find the box, the manuals, and any inserts, and check that they truly match the item, because reproduction boxes exist, and a mismatched one is a marriage that drags the price down. Compare the aging on the box against the plastic, and the loss that hurts the most, somebody kept the toy and threw away the box, and cut the real value away with their own hands. The box was the money. Number 1 is next, and you already own it. Number one is almost certainly already in your basement, or your mother's, or your grandmother's, sitting on a shelf in rows, so familiar, you have completely stopped seeing them. Mason jars. The old canning jars, usually that soft blue-green glass, dusty, maybe still holding screws or buttons. Your daughter calls them clutter. You have half believed her. Here is the truth that turns this whole list around. This is one of the most mass-produced objects in American history. Ball made these by the billion for over 100 years, and that is exactly why the ordinary ones are worth about $1 or $2. Fame is not value. The thing everyone recognizes is almost never the thing worth the most, because the whole country already has a shelf of them. I will not inflate this for you. Most of the jars down there are worth pocket change. But here is the reframe I have been walking you toward for 10 items. The value is never in the name. It is in the details, the exact logo, the color, and the lip of the glass. Ball changes logo script over the decades, so reading that script against a free dating chart tells you the era of the jar in seconds. And a few narrow windows carry real money. Error jars, where the logo was accidentally embossed upside down, have sold for several hundred and up toward $1,000. 19th century jars, rare colors like true amber or deep cobalt blue, and unusual mold numbers can climb from 50 into the hundreds, and the exceptional pieces bring thousands. Your test tonight: read the logo against a dating chart, check the color in daylight, because true amber and cobalt are not the common aqua, and run a finger around the very top. A rough ground lip means an early hand-finished jar, but do not fall for the old basement legend that a mold number on the base makes a jar rare. That number just identifies which mold in the factory made it. It is the logo, the color, and the lip that tell the truth, not the number. Every single item tonight came down to the same habit. Turn it over, read what it says. Every item tonight, all 10 of them, came down to the exact same habit. Before anything leaves your basement, read the marks. Turn it over, look at the maker's name, the model, the logo, the small details on the bottom, and believe what they tell you instead of what the dust tells you. The dust is just the story the basement wants you to believe, that this is all old junk. The marks are the truth, and the truth is where the money hides. So before you clear out a single shelf, before you let anyone hand you one flat price for a whole box, before you decide the old crocks and the old jars and the heavy black skillet are just clutter, go down there and turn things over first. It costs you nothing but a few minutes, and it is the one skill that separates the people who quietly find a fortune from the people who set it on the curb. If this made you want to walk straight down to your basement and start turning things over, do me one small favor and like this video. It genuinely tells me to keep making these. And if you are not subscribed yet, that is where the next one lives, where we go through the attic and the garage, room by room, and do exactly this all over again. Then tell me down in the comments, what is the oldest thing sitting in your basement right now, and who did it come from? Your father, a grandmother, a house you helped clear out? I read every single one, and the story of who owned it is half the value. One last thing, and I mean it, do not sell a single thing out of that basement before you read the bottom of it. Number one is probably down there right now, in a row, on a dusty shelf. Go turn it over.